Direct News TV. August 14, 2023. Russia-Ukraine war updates, Western weapons far from perfect, Shoigu. Has Russia pulled the plug on the Wagner Group? For years, Russia had denied the existence of the Wagner mercenary group, let alone any connections to it. That is despite multiple reports revealing the group's involvement in promoting Moscow's interests in Syria and several African countries. The Wagner Group chief's failed mutiny in June has shed further light on what was likely a strong connection between the two sides. But Moscow and Wagner now appear to be at odds, with reports suggesting Moscow is no longer funding the private army. So where does that leave the two parties? Zelensky thanks U.S. for newly announced military aid package. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has thanked the U.S. for its decision to send Kyiv a new security assistance package valued at $200 million that includes air defense munitions, artillery rounds, and mine-clearing equipment. "I want to thank the United States today for the new package, munitions for Patriots, for HIMARS, artillery, javelins, and more. These are much-needed things," he said in his evening address. "There will be even more work soon with our partners for the sake of defense," he added. Russian diplomats and families leave Moldova, Moscow. Russia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs says employees of Russian institutions in Moldova, the embassy, trade mission and Russian Center of Science and Culture, and their family members have returned to Moscow. Moldova's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and European Integration last month told Russia to reduce its embassy presence in Chisinau, citing concerns about alleged Russian attempts to destabilize the small state, which borders Romania and Ukraine. This unfriendly step of official Chisinau will undoubtedly have consequences for Russian-Moldovan relations, the Russian ministry said in a statement. 22 Russian diplomats are reported to have left the country. U.S. ambassador to Russia meets with detained journalist Gershkovich, Wall Street Journal. U.S. ambassador to Russia Lynn Tracy has met with jailed Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich in her third such visit since his March detention on espionage charges, which he denies, according to the newspaper. Ambassador Tracy reported that Evan continues to appear in good health and remains strong despite the circumstances. The Wall Street Journal quoted the U.S. Embassy in Moscow as saying, UK says its Typhoon jets intercepted 2 Russian aircraft. The United Kingdom says its Typhoon fighter jets intercepted 2 Russian maritime patrol bomber aircraft in international airspace north of Scotland, a NATO policing area. Pilots launched in their Typhoon jets to intercept 2 Russian long-range bombers this morning, monitoring them as they passed north of the Shetland Islands, ready to counter any potential threat to UK territory, said UK Minister of State for the Armed Forces James Heappey. The UK said its Typhoon jets are routinely scrambled during such incidents to secure and safeguard its skies. U.S. to send Ukraine security assistance valued at $200 million. The United States says it will send Ukraine new security assistance worth $200 million. The aid includes air defense munitions, artillery rounds, anti-armor capabilities and mine-clearing equipment, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said in a statement. Last week, the Reuters news agency reported that 2 unnamed U.S. officials said Washington would begin to distribute $6.2 billion of funds discovered after a Pentagon accounting error. The newly discovered funds represent the last of a congressionally authorized $25.5 billion in weapons that may be shipped from U.S. stocks. Ukrainian PM thanks Germany for support. Ukraine's Prime Minister, Denis Shmyhal, has thanked Germany's finance minister and government for their support in financial aid and sanctions against Russia. On X, formerly known as Twitter, he wrote, during a meeting with Christian Lindner, thanked Germany for military, sanction and financial support. "We discussed prospects for cooperation with German KfW, German Credit Institution for Reconstruction. We expect companies to participate in its recovery." Shmyhal also posted about the meeting on Telegram, where he added, Ukraine received more than €1.5 billion, $1.64 billion, of macrofinancial assistance from Germany, most of it in the form of a grant. We are grateful for the support of the IMF program, for the role of Germany in the EU-Ukraine Facility Program, and, for the promotion of European integration. Christian Lindner emphasized that Germany will continue to support Ukraine, and our cooperation projects will have a long-term nature. Russia scrambles MiG-29 jet due to Norwegian plane, bombers fly over Arctic. Russia's Ministry of Defense says it has scrambled a MiG-29 jet after a Norwegian Air Force plane neared Russian airspace off Russia's Arctic coast. In a statement posted on Telegram, the ministry said the Norwegian plane had not crossed into Russian airspace. Separately, the ministry said strategic bombers have carried out routine flights over international waters in the Arctic. All the flights were carried out in strict compliance with international airspace regulations, the ministry said, adding that the longest flight had lasted for more than 7 hours. Russia regularly flies its Tu-160 and Tu-95S long-range bombers, which are capable of carrying nuclear cruise missiles, over international waters. 22 Russian diplomats leave Moldova. 22 Russian diplomats have flown out of the Moldovan capital, Chisinau, as relations between the two countries have deteriorated due to the war in Ukraine. Moldova has asked Russia to reduce its embassy staff over concerns about alleged Russian attempts to destabilize the country that neighbors Ukraine. Moldovan officials said a reduction from 80 to 25 would equal Moldova's embassy staffing in Moscow. 23 technical support staff and their families were also asked to leave along with the diplomats. According to Moldova's foreign ministry, no more than 10 Russian diplomats and 15 support staff may remain in Chisinau from Tuesday. General in Ukraine's intelligence service sentenced to 12 years for treason. A major general in the security service of Ukraine has been sentenced to 12 years in prison for high treason, the German press agency, DPA, reports. The intelligence officer was accused of collecting information and passing it on to Russia, the public prosecutor's office in Kiev said. The general is said to have recruited contract killers to attack the commander of a Chechen battalion fighting for Ukraine. The intelligence officer was arrested in April 2020, nearly 2 years before Russia began its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Kiev's troops have been fighting pro-Moscow separatists in eastern Ukraine since 2014. Romania to increase transit of Ukrainian grain. Romania aims to double the monthly transit capacity of Ukrainian grain via the Danube River, Transport Minister Sorin Grindinu said. Before Russia pulled out of the Black Sea grain deal, the Danube ports accounted for about a quarter of Ukraine's grain exports. By hiring more staff to ease the passage of vessels and finalizing connecting infrastructure projects, Romania could increase the transit capacity, Grindinu told reporters. I have underlined the importance of Romanian rail, road and naval transport routes to maintain a constant flow for Ukrainian exports, Grindinu said after a meeting with representatives of the European Union, the United States, Moldova and Ukraine in the Danube town of Galati. It was a good meeting which will lead us through the agreed measures to raise grain transit capacity from over 2 million tons per month at present to almost 4 million tons in the coming months. 2 UAVs shot down over Russian Belgorod region. The Russian Defense Ministry told reporters that air defense systems shot down unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, over the Belgorod region, the TASS news agency reports. August 14, at about 12:15 Moscow time and 12:45 Moscow time, 9:15 and 9:45 Greenwich Mean Time, attempts by the Kiev regime to carry out terrorist attacks by aircraft-type unmanned aerial vehicles against objects in the Russian Federation were thwarted. Russian air defense systems detected and destroyed UAVs over the territory of the Belgorod region, the ministry said. They said there were no casualties or damage. The governor of the region, Vyacheslav Gladkov, confirmed what the ministry told reporters and said that air defense systems shot down 2 targets near the village of Pushkarnoy. Western weapons are far from perfect, Shoigu. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu says Russian weapons were showing their effectiveness in Ukraine. In remarks shown on state television, Shoigu said that much-hyped Western arms had shown themselves to be far from perfect during the battle in Ukraine. Russia to deliver S-400 missiles to India. Russia will deliver S-400 anti-aircraft systems to India within the agreed timeframe, the Russian Interfax news agency quoted a senior Russian defense export official as saying. India is the world's biggest weapons importer and still primarily uses Russian technology for arms, but officials have expressed concern that Russia's war in Ukraine could delay deliveries. The production of S-400 Triumph anti-aircraft missile systems is being carried out according to schedule, Dmitry Shugov, head of Russia's Federal Service for Military Technical Cooperation, said. The delivery of the equipment of the S-400 Triumph system is expected to be completed within the agreed timeframe. India purchased the S-400 Triumph Air Defense System Units 2018 for $5.4 billion. My name is Kingsley. Please like, share, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be the first to be notified whenever we post. You won't regret it.